Welcome back for another video with the brand new release from Pioneer DJ, the DDJ FLX10. This is the latest release from their flagship Flex series and is replacing the DDJ-1000 and 1000 SRT. The first thing you'll notice is the familiar 4-channel club-style layout, but with some added buttons and effects section. Before going into the demo, we'll do some notable mentions. It's the only controller with stem effects and stem EQ for Serato. It's the first controller with rekordbox stems. It's the first controller with integrated DMX out for lighting. It's the first controller with RGB LED rings around the jog wheel that allows you to see the color around the jog wheel, displaying your selected stem status. Mixpoint Link in rekordbox lets you automate your playback so you can concentrate on effects manipulation. Well, that's enough of the chit chat. Let's jump into the video.
This is the DDJ FLX10. It is the brand new 4-channel controller from Pioneer DJ. It's for both rekordbox and Serato. And basically it's, it carries over the legacy of the DDJ-1000 and the DDJ-1000 SRT. Now it's no longer two separate controllers. It's one controller. And just an overview, there is stem separation controls on it. Some of them are just controls for software. The others are dedicated controls that you only get with the Flex 10. All the stem functions work for both Serato and rekordbox. And in addition to that, there's also DMX capability. So rekordbox allows you to DJ and also have a preset pattern of lighting for every single song. So you can connect your controller directly to your lights. You just have to set it up in rekordbox, which isn't hard to do. Now, I don't have any DMX lighting here, but it's basically a DJ controller that you can use for just about everything. You just plug it to speakers, plug it to your lights, and it just plays from one computer. So we were talking about stem separation, so how stem separation works. So we have a track here saying you can mute the drums, mute the vocals, mute the instruments. You can solo any of these parts, instruments, vocals, drums. And it's a 3-part stem separation in rekordbox. And what's cool about the stem separation is it has a couple neat little features, like say you have a track playing here. You can do an instant double to the adjacent deck. So I'm going to switch over control, shift, double click vocals. Now I have my vocals on 3 and I have the instrumental on 1. If I engage dual deck, if you look on the waveform, now I'm controlling deck 3 and deck 1 like it was one song because it is split. So another cool thing here, like we were talking about earlier, is the effects part select. So this has a club style effects area. So we have our color effects, we have our beat effects. Now when I apply an echo to channel 1, so we hear the echo on the full deck. But if I just want it on the vocals, it's just applying the echo on the vocals. And you can do some cool stuff with this. Say you want to syncopate the drums, put it on roll. And like I said, it also works with the color effects. I'm going to put this back on vocal, and I want a space reverb on the... Here's a little cool thing you can do. Set it to pitch. Pitch down the vocals, pitch it up. So that's a neat creative little feature that you can do with the effects part select. And a couple other things about the Flex 10. It now has a 4-beat loop button, a dedicated 4-beat loop button. And you can use the in and the out button to half time or double time the loop. So 4-beat loop. Now I'm gonna half time it, or double time, and use the 4-beat loop button to exit. So that's new there. Now, I know that if you notice, there are 3 parts buttons, active parts buttons, and there's 3 active parts select. If you're using Serato, we know that Serato has a 4 parts system for their stem separation. On the Flex 10, the bass and the melody are combined anywhere there's instruments. So if you're using Serato, your bass and melody are combined under the instruments. But if you want the 4 parts in Serato, you can actually pull it up on the pads and still have your 8-pad stem pad for Serato stems. Now, my favorite feature on this is actually, instead of using the active parts, is to go into what's called Parts ISO. I hold Shift, I click the headphone cue button, and now we have granular control using the EQ knobs of each part. So if I want to lower the drums, vocals for mid, or the instruments on the treble knob. And this feature right here also works on Serato. So this is the first DJ controller that has EQ control for stem parts. It's called the Parts ISO. And lastly, a really fun feature here is also what's called Mix Point Link. What Mix Point Link is, it's an automated play trigger. So say I have a song that I'm going to be playing into on this side, and I have this song playing here. So we're going to go, I'm going to turn on my Mix Point Link screen. So I have this song playing here. Basically, Mix Point Link lets you choose a mix point based on the hotkeys that are preset on both songs. And you can essentially arm when it's gonna play. So that way your hand doesn't have to worry about hitting play on time. So Link is blinking, I'm going to arm it. What this does is it gives you room to play with other parameters so that when it hits play, you're just on time. Now this song is playing, and I could use it to manipulate whatever I want. Drum swap. I want to lower the vocal on the outgoing track, so now it sounds cleaner. So yeah, that's how Mix Point Link works. And to be honest with you, with Mix Point Link, it's a lot easier to do than it is to explain. So, but yeah, back to you, Kova.
Awesome, awesome. So many cool things about it. So you showed, I just want to double check, you did the shift, right? There was, if you hit the shift and then it allows you to separate the stems differently. Is that what you did with the EQ, or was it actually faders? I just want to double check that I asked that correctly.
Oh, okay. So let me get back to the view for 4-deck vertical, because it'll be easiest to see. So I'm going to eject this track, eject this track. So I have this right here. So I have my instant double set for up down, meaning I can only instant double from deck 1 to 3 or 3 to 1 because it's up down when you look at the GUI. Same with deck 2 to 4, because traditionally instant double is across. You can go 1 to 2 or 2 to 1 or 3 to 4, 4 to 3. So if I want to split this, like say I want to have instrumental on one side and vocals on the other, I use my deck select to select deck 3 if I was on 1. So if this was playing, I'm going to select deck 3. I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to double click vocal. And now vocal is on deck 3. Instrumental is on deck 1. Now if I want to control them like they're one song, I engage dual deck by holding shift, one click on deck select, and now they're both playing together. And I'm gonna disengage dual deck. So, let me re-engage dual deck. So, I'm gonna go on deck 3. Say I were just manipulate the vocals. Now my vocals are offset. So if I go back to dual deck, when I hit a hot cue, they reset because the hot cue for both the vocal and the instrumental are exactly the same. And that's actually an advantage that you have when you're doing parts instant doubles, because if you're just working with an acapella or like an acapella track and an instrumental, the hot cues might not always be the same. But because you split the same track, all the hot cues are exactly the same. So whenever you hit any of the hot cues, it resets it back and brings it back together.
So essentially you could just use instrumental and scratch the acapella.
Yeah, essentially you can do that. Yeah.
Wow. That's super cool. So Marcos Mixon Vasquez, he asks, can you echo out the vocals when you turn off the vocal stem? Pad controls with Serato, echo out, but not sure if that's a Serato thing.
So with the effects part select, so say I want an echo on that vocal, I'm gonna set my effects part select on vocal only. So if I want to do an echo out, see now I did an echo out. All I did was mute the vocal and open the echo. So let's turn this back on. Now you can do this with any instrument. You want to do that with the instrumental? That's it. Let's bring this back here. Now the thing to note here, this is a different workflow from the Serato one. But if you're in Serato, you can still map your stem effects pads on the pads. So you have that on top of being able to do this with effects part select.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you got any value from it, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, we'd love to connect with you on socials. So signing off, my name is Kova with Tweak Music Tips. We'll see you soon.